D2 Word Life here with the sensei of the Simon system, Riptides.
Bop, 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 bop. He's Simon Deaning it.
And yes, we all know you're a Simon Dean level. You ain't freaking denying that, then.
Oh, I know you are. And no, I did not like Simon Dean. Simon Dean can eat it himself.
Shit. Speaking of Simon Dean, of course, we'll be getting more to those segments later, but...
I think this was the only time Simon Dean ever fucking showed back up.
It's like, yeah, but today we are reviewing No Mercy 2005, but the reason for that being is the original review that we had scheduled today, which was Judgment Day 2004.
Judgment Day 04.
For some reason, it's not on Peacock anymore. I don't know why. So,
yeah, that was bullshit.
So we had to improvise, so that's why we went with No Mercy 05 instead this week. Which took place on November 9th, 2005, Eddie Guerrero's 38th birthday, by the way. And it was a SmackDown.
Well, that's coming up.
And it was a SmackDown branded pay-per-view. And it took place in Houston, Texas at the Toyota Center with an attendance of 7,000 fans.
His birthday's on Saturday.
This was October 9th. This is November as we're recording this. His birthday was a month ago.
Yeah.
But, yeah. We'll talk about why November is important to Eddie Guerrero here after the fact. Right?
It's a tribute to him.
Yeah. And, of course, the commentators for this event was Michael Cole and Taz. And I feel like giving a shout out to the Spanish commentators for once, and that was Hugo and Carlos. Remember them?
Well, Hugo's always there.
Yeah. Yep, and special shout out to the Sunday Night Heat match that took place prior to the event, and that was William Regal and Paul Virgil defeating London and Kendrick in a tag team match. Enough said there. So when it comes to this pay-per-view, it's like we start out with a video package hyping up the Eddie Guerrero Batista main event for the world title and hyping up the Ortons taking on the Undertaker in the casket match.
Yep.
Yep, so and then after the whole introduction and the pyro went off, and then Michael Cole and Taz welcomed us to the show along with introducing the Spanish announce team, we jumped to our opening contest, which was a 6-person tag team match. And pitted all of M&M, which was
Joey Mercury, and Johnny Nitro.
Taking on the tag team champions, the Legion of Doom. Not Hawk and Animal, since Hawk passed away 2 years prior to this. I'm talking about the team of Animal and Heidenreich.
Heidenreich.
And their partner for this night, Christy Hemme.
Yep.
Now, this match I totally didn't remember taking place on this pay-per-view. It's been a while since I've seen this pay-per-view 100% all the way through.
Oh, this was also the tearjerker I was talking, because this was one of the very few matches left of Animal as well.
That, and I believe this was also Heidenreich's last pay-per-view appearance before he left the company.
Yeah.
A lot of final pay-per-view appearances for people here. Or one of the final ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, the match started with Animal and Nitro in the ring, and Animal delivered a big boot to Nitro's face, right? And then Animal freaking, of course, we gotta talk about this. Animal had his left shoulder taped up, selling an injury given to him by Eminem in the weeks prior leading up to this.
Yeah, they gave him a snapshot on his shoulder.
And that's what you call selling, something you should take note of.
Eat shit.
There's one.
Eat shit.
I don't think I will.
Oh, I think you will.
Of course, shortly afterwards, Animal tagged in Heidenreich, who freaking got an advantage, who maintained the advantage over Nitro with a clothesline, and then Nitro did a flip bump to sell it in the ring. That's what you call selling. Take note.
Boy.
Yeah. You know, I'm always going to annoy you with that during these reviews. It's like an inside joke at this point. Right.
Don't make me go and get you.
Yeah, and then freaking Animal came back in and he looked like he was going to deliver some kind of like big splash or a clothesline in the corner to Nitro, but Nitro got out of the way. Right?
Yep.
Which caused Animal to hit the turnbuckle as well, going downward. It's like Mercury got the tag. And he started working on Animal's left arm story of this match. Of the heels trying to weaken the injured body part.
Yeah.
Yeah, then Mercury kicked Animal in the arm repeatedly. That's how he worked it on. And then Nitro came into the ring, leading to a double team snapshot, but Animal kicked out at 2. The referee was a little bit slow on that one. I noticed, right?
Yeah.
It's like people didn't even know what the heck they were doing, right? Yeah, then shortly afterwards, Morrison, whatever you want to call him, and Mercury both drove Animal's shoulder into the top rope a few times, injuring that body part even more. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Nitro was in control with an arm wringer on an Animal, and then freaking Mercury came back into the ring with a double axe handle to Animal's arm. Yep. Just kind of weakening it, trying to take advantage of the injured body part, which is smart strategy when your opponent comes in with an injury.
Yeah, but that was always Nitro and Mercury's MO, was just to injure their opponent and then take advantage of their injury when they were in the match with them.
Yeah. Yeah, and then at one point shortly afterwards, Mercury actually hit a neck breaker for a 2 count on Animal. Animal kicked out. And of course, Mercury then tried another move off the top rope. And as he jumped off, Animal caught him and hit a power slam for a 2 count. So Animal trying to fight back. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, Heidenreich came back in the ring, which Nitro freaking dumped Heidenreich out of the ring. Right? So Heidenreich really didn't do much in this match. It's like, yeah, then Animal shoved Mercury into the turnbuckle. Right? At some point, still trying to fight back. And then that's when Melina tagged herself in. Right? This wasn't mixed tag rules. This was 6-person intergender tag match. Right? Though we didn't see any man-on-woman violence.
Top of Animal.
And of course, she jumped on top of Animal after she tagged herself in, but that didn't quite put Animal down. He kind of no-sold like he had a mosquito on his back. Right?
Like me in 2K.
Yes. And of course, Animal with freaking Melina on the back tagged in Christy Hemme, right?
Yep.
And at this point, the crowd actually went wild, or cheered a lot, went nuts, right?
Also, Christy Hemme did a fucking bulldog off of Animal.
Yeah. Of course, Hemme came in, hit a clothesline on Melina. Then Hemme delivered a kick to the face of Melina. And of course, Hemme did hit a Hurricane Rana on Melina that sent Melina across the ring, though the Hurricane Rana itself kind of looked sloppy or botched, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Christy Hemme only had about a year of experience, while Melina was relatively still new to the wrestling game here. Pretty sure she had training prior, but this was like her first match on pay-per-view. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Nitro and Mercury were taken out. Then Animal decided, screw it, let's go for the finish now. So he actually put Melina up on his shoulders. Christy Hemme went to the top.
Christy Hemme signaled for doing the
Doomsday device.
Doomsday device.
Which Animal obliged, so Animal put freaking Melina up on his shoulders. Christy went to the top rope and delivered that clothesline, the Doomsday device maneuver. And
yep.
And here's a little thing that's interesting. When Christy Hemme went for the pin, Melina's freaking shoulders were completely turned around off the mat to where she had to literally put her in a position to pin her, delaying that 3 count. But in the end, she got that anyway. With a 3 count, meaning the winners were LOD 2.0 and Christy Hemme.
Yep.
Now, it's like sloppy, botched pin and everything else aside, what did you think of this opening 6-person tag?
It was nice seeing Christy Hemme again.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't freaking, the botches here ain't gonna be taking away my final thoughts on this match because, you know, they were not really experienced as they are now or would be in later years. The 2 women at least. So I ain't holding that against them.
Yep.
Other than that, I thought it was like a alright way to kick off the show. It was a short tag match, but I mean, really nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing that really, but that Doomsday device did stand out at the end.
Yeah.
So I'll give it points for that. So I thought the match was went decent for what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we go backstage afterwards where Batista was in his locker room getting ready for the main event. When Eddie Guerrero, his opponent for the night, showed up and pretty much only had one thing to say to him, and that was good luck, and left.
Yeah.
And Batista said good luck to him as well, and that was the end of that segment.
Yep. And then your favorite segment and match of the night, Simon Dean.
Yes. Wait, no, this isn't my favorite segment, but it led to some funny moments.
You admitted it. It's on record. Ha-ha.
Wait, this wasn't my favorite match of the whole night. It was the weakest one of the match, but the segments I followed were pretty funny. But we'll get to those when we get to those.
You said that it was your favorite. I made you do it. Ha-ha. It's on the record.
It ain't on no record. Anyway, Simon Dean freaking came out and he was carrying a tray of cheeseburgers with him, 20 of them to be exact.
He wasn't carrying shit. He was riding his little fucking Segway and had a waiter carrying 20 fucking cheeseburgers.
Well, either way, there was 20 cheeseburgers in the corner when this match started. Yeah, and apparently a little insider on there, the guy that was carrying the tray of 20 cheeseburgers is someone by the name of Christy Joseph, better known as Big Dick Johnson. So that's a second appearance by that guy in like 2 weeks.
Yes.
On this little review segment.
I'm surprised you didn't catch it the first time that it showed. I'm like, is that big? Yes, that is Big Dick Johnson. Holy shit.
Well, I didn't catch it because I didn't really think anything of it. I was just, at this point, I'm just like, okay, what's Simon Dean going to say here? Because he was known for cutting promos. Because you were more
interested in Simon Dean?
No, he was known for cutting promos before he got squashed. That's what I was thinking.
Uh-huh.
And pretty much Dean got on the mic and pretty much said that freaking Bobby Lashley is fat, but if he can't, or, not the best of shape, which is bullshit. And Simon Dean pretty much said if he can't beat Bobby Lashley, he will eat 20 cheeseburgers. That was pretty much the stakes in this match.
Saying that if Bobby Lashley beat him, he'd have to eat 20 cheeseburgers.
Yeah. That was pretty much the stakes in this match. How? What? It's like, why did... And then Bobby Lashley then came out, which, does that man ever age?
No.
Because this was Bobby Lashley's WWE pay-per-view debut.
It was his first pay-per-view debut.
Yeah, it was the first WWE of his first run.
Yes.
And I swear, you freaking look at Bobby Lashley from this No Mercy pay-per-view from 19 years ago, and you compare him to his recent debut in AEW, he looks pretty much the same. Almost. Like, age doesn't affect that guy.
When he came back to WWE as well, he looked the fucking same. I'm like, God damn, he's still built as a fucking truck.
Yeah, so Lashley and R-Truth both have one thing in common. They don't age for some reason.
They are immortal vampires.
I knew it. You solved the mystery. You solved the mystery, boy. I knew it.
I'm gonna go to the movie and I'm gonna go make another Reggie Pasca.
Yep. So yeah, Simon Dean was actually wearing a freaking like some kind of cast or freaking like brace on his hand because I guess apparently Bobby Lashley in storyline broke Simon Dean's hand prior to this match.
Yeah, he was wearing a cast.
So yeah, right when the bell rang, Lashley freaking hit a running forearm early on onto freaking Dean. And then freaking Lashley then hooked the arms of Dean and hit a double underhook suplex all the way across, sending freaking Dean across the ring. Right?
Yep.
And then Lashley freaking came in with a shoulder tackle to the ribs of Dean. Jeez. If you wanted to make freaking goddamn Lashley look strong, this was the match to do it. Right?
Well, that's the whole thing.
Of course, with Dean up in the corner, freaking Lashley charged in for some kind of like attack in the corner. We'll never know what it was because Dean moved out of the way, and Dean with pretty much his only offense, he decided to, I'm gonna throw hamburgers across the ring to distract the referee. Right? So the referee was distracted with them hamburgers.
So he could fucking grab the damn tray.
He grabbed the metal tray, hit Lashley in the head with it.
Fucking Lashley's head, and Lashley just stands there just going,
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Fucking like I was said, Dean freaking grabbed the freaking metal tray, hit Lashley in the head as hard as he could with it, and Lashley just stood there, no-selling it like you do on 2K.
Could Simon said in his head, say, at this moment, I knew I just fucked up.
Of course, Lashley then tried to set Dean up for a Dominator, which he grabbed from the top. He hoisted Dean up to grab, but Dean kind of slipped, but he ended up nailing the move in the end anyway and got the pinfall win.
Yep. This
was pretty much a squash. But your thoughts about this squash match?
Yeah, it was okay. What the fuck does my brother want now? He just walked out the damn door.
I mean, if their goal was to make Bobby Lashley look strong, they did the job. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this, of course, after the match, Lashley did stuff a friggin' burger into Dean's mouth, starting the segments we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
Anyway, after the match, we go backstage where JBL with Jillian Hall was getting interviewed. And pretty much JBL talked about how the underdogs in real life do not win. And that's when Rey Mysterio came out, interrupted them, started cutting a promo in Spanish, which everybody in the audience appreciated because they actually know what he was saying.
Yeah.
And of course, JBL all pissed off saying, "This is America, speak English." Which pretty much Rey Mysterio said, here's a mask for you, JBL, to hide that embarrassment on your face after I beat you tonight. Which JBL rejected, and then he goes, well, then again, Jillian Hall, you probably need this more than him. And he just walks away. making reference to that growth on Jillian's face.
Yeah.
Anyway, we head back to the ring for the United States Championship Fatal 4-Way matchup. And of course, Charmel did an introduction for her husband, Booker T.
Yeah. She always did at this point.
Yeah, but this was like the period between Booker T ending his stint as a face and going into heel.
Yeah.
Which, since this was in Houston, Texas, Booker T's hometown, Booker T got a massive pop from the crowd. Right?
Yeah.
And if you don't know, this United States title match involved Booker T challenging Chris Benoit for the U.S. title, along with Christian and Orlando Jordan also challenging Benoit for the title in a fatal 4-way. Yep. And mind you, Christian did come out with my favorite theme song that he had back then, the best Christian theme song. I remember in WWE, the female version of his, what would be his theme song years later. All right.
What, Christian, you finally on your own?
No, that was the one prior to this. This was the first version of Close Your Eyes that he had, the female version of it.
Yeah.
Of course, a little interesting fact, this was Christian's last pay-per-view match, too, as well, before he signed with TNA after his contract expired the following month.
Yeah.
Or at the end of October, whatever, of 05, whatever you want to call it. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, even though Christian and Jordan were also involved, the big story here was Booker T and Benoit being friends and everything else. But, you know, they would start their little rivalry shortly after this.
It was right after this.
Yep. They all told the story about how Benoit won the U.S. title 2 months prior at SummerSlam from Orlando Jordan in less than 30 seconds.
Well, also, every time Benoit and Jordan faced each other, he made them tap out within a minute.
Yeah. But anyway, the match started with the two heels in this match, Christian and Jordan working together, send Benoit out of the ring. And then Booker then hit a leaping clothesline to take Christian and Jordan down. Then Booker sent Christian out of the ring. And he also knocked down Jordan with a back kick. All right.
Yeah.
And of course, freaking Christian then came out, got Booker out of the ring, and sent Booker into the steel steps. Yeah, but then back in the ring, Benoit did put Jordan in the crossface. And right when we thought Jordan was going to tap out for another freaking time, Christian broke it up.
Yeah.
Then Benoit freaking hit a suplex onto Jordan, then followed up with a suplex onto Christian, onto Jordan.
Yep.
Which I thought looked impressive. Hurt too. Imagine another person's body freaking being suplexed onto you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then following this, Benoit actually did get a roll-up attempt on Christian for a 2 count. Of course, then at this time, Booker got in the action by hitting a missile dropkick from the top rope onto Christian, taking him out momentarily.
Yeah.
A lot of action in this match, right?
Yep.
Yeah, then Booker hit a slingshot that sent Jordan into Christian out there. And then Benoit took Jordan out with a clothesline, sending Jordan out of the outside of the ring. Now, at this point, Benoit and Booker had their little stare down, both of them being the faces here, fan favorites. I think Booker was a little bit more over in this match since we were in his hometown.
He was a lot more over because everyone in his hometown, all his friends and family were at the pay-per-view cheering him on.
Yeah, but before Booker and Benoit could even lock up, Christian and Jordan got back into the ring, interrupting that little occasion.
Yeah.
Of course, which led to freaking Benoit dumping Christian over the top rope to the floor. It followed with Jordan kicking Benoit out of the ring as well. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then Booker hit Jordan with a freaking clothesline. Yeah, actually, no, Booker and Jordan hit clotheslines on each other at the same time. It was a double down spot.
Yep.
Yeah, and then freaking Benoit went to the top. Christian went after him to try to stop whatever move Benoit had in mind. Then Jordan whipped Benoit into him, leading to both Christian and Benoit bumping to the floor. So yeah, Christian and Benoit both got dumped from the top. Yep. Then shortly afterwards, Booker got a sunset flip on a Jordan for a 2 count. And that one was actually close, too. Everyone thought Booker won the match, but of course, Booker does not win with a sunset flip. That's just a lead-up move to his one of his finishers.
Yep.
So yeah, the crowd bought that near fall. Yeah, then Booker hit a running forearm on a Jordan, followed by a spine buster for another 2 count. Right?
Yep.
Of course, Christian tried to battle Booker, but Booker kicked him, knocked him back outside the ring again.
Yeah.
Of course, Benoit got back in the ring, only to be met with a leaping kick from Booker as well. And then Booker did a spinneroonie and an axe kick to the back of Jordan's head for a 2. As Christian freaking just pulled Booker off the pinfall, stopping the 3 count.
Yeah.
Which also freaking made the fans deflated because I thought Booker had it there.
Yeah.
And of course, back in the ring, Benoit got back in there and hit 2 German suplexes on Christian.
I thought it was 3, but okay.
Yeah, it was 2 German suplexes, and apparently one of them Jordan got hit a little bit, as Benoit delivered the moves to Christian as well.
Well, I know he was going for his hat trick was 3 Germans.
Yes. Of course, in the last Benoit match, we freaking reviewed. I think he hit like 8 or 9 of them.
Yeah.
Of course, then Benoit whipped Jordan out of the ring onto Booker onto the floor, right? So both Jordan and Booker are outside. And Benoit then hit another German suplex on Christian, followed by 3 more of them. So how many is that now? 6?
So he hit 2. And then you did 3. Yeah, you did 5.
Yeah, and then he hit 3 more German suplexes on Christian. Christian went up, and then Benoit went to the top rope and hit his signature headbutt. To try to hit his signature headbutt, but Christian moved out of the way. All right. Christian went for a roll-up. Yeah, ain't nothing but canvas. But then Christian afterwards went for a roll-up. Only for Benoit to kick out and actually put Christian in the crippler crossface. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, and at this point, it looked like Christian was going to tap out, but Jordan last minute came in, broke it up. We'll have the match continue. Not because he liked Christian or saved him, but because he wanted the match to continue.
Well, he also had flashbacks of him tapping out.
Yep. Of course, Booker then came back in and sent freaking himself and Jordan back over the top rope with a clothesline onto the outside. And I think Christian then tried to hit Benoit with his unprettier finisher, only for Benoit to reverse it and lock Christian into a sharpshooter, which then Christian tapped out, giving Benoit the win to retain the U.S. title.
Yep.
So, your thoughts on this 4-way match, which could have gone either way, honestly.
Honestly, I thought Booker was going to win it.
And of course,
honestly, yeah, because it was very close for him to actually get that almost 3 count.
Yeah. to me, this was the match of the night, the best match at this point. In the early going, of course, after the match, the story that started developing after the match was Sharmell yelling at Booker T, saying, no, Benoit took that win from you. And just started berating and yelling at him. Booker the whole time. After the match, which we'll come back to here in a minute afterwards.
Yep.
And of course, despite losing the match, Booker T's music did play as a couple walked back to the ring, probably because Booker was a hometown hero or hometown boy at this point.
Yeah.
And because of this would ultimately lead to Booker T turning heel, going after Benoit in that best of 5 series, and then eventually going on to win the 06 King of the Ring, becoming the King Booker character. So, and being a world champion on top of that for a 6th time after this. But this was the slow burner to a heel turn for Booker at this point, which led to all of that the following year. And of course, we go backstage. And this is where the Bobby Lashley, Simon Dean segments start after their match, where it showed Bobby Lashley and Simon Dean backstage with Lashley telling him, yeah, you got to eat all them cheeseburgers.
Well, Simon Dean was trying to hide from Lashley, but Lashley had got him. And he's like, well, you have to do this because this was your agreement you did. With if you lost, you would have to eat 20 cheeseburgers.
Of course, Dean said, I don't want to eat them. Of course, Lashley said, well, I'm going to make you a man of your word for losing. And Lashley grabbed him and told him to eat them 20 double cheeseburgers. And this would be the running gag throughout the whole rest of the show, by the way.
Yeah.
Of course, we get to the next match, which was Mr. Kennedy making his pay-per-view debut against Hardcore Holly.
Bodacious Bob Holly.
You'll never let that go.
No.
Of course, King Kennedy did make his entrance, and he did it. And before the regular ring announcer could freaking, introduce who he was, freaking Kennedy took the mic and introduced himself like usual.
Yeah, he was still undefeated at that point.
Yeah, he was still undefeated from that point. And this was Kennedy's pay-per-view debut, like I stated. And of course, the match started with Holly being aggressive early on with a suplex. With a hard suplex. Pretty much taking control from the early going. Kennedy actually tried to fight back with some punches, only to get hit with a drop kick from Holly.
Yeah.
Yeah, then freaking, but then Holly freaking kept control over Kennedy, stopping a little bit of momentum he had with chops to Kennedy as well. And then, of course, Kennedy did try to fight back with a headbutt to freaking the ribs of Holly as well, followed by a whip that sent Holly out of the ring. And then, and then freaking Kennedy freaking drove Hardcore Holly left arm first into the ring post, thus working on the arm of Holly here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then once those two got back in the ring, Kennedy actually nailed a belly-to-back suplex onto Holly for a 2 count. Yeah, and then freaking Holly then locked in an armbar Kennedy locked in an armbar on Holly, working over the injured freaking body part, the injured arms and more. Which eventually freaking Holly broke free of. So Kennedy hit a clothesline on Holly for a 2 count. Of course, Holly did battle back. He wasn't no chump. They don't call Holly tough for nothing. So he came back with so he tried to fight back with 2 chops to Kennedy. But Kennedy stopped that any momentum Holly was trying to build with another armbar. into a single arm DDT for a 2 count.
Yeah. Well, they don't call Hardcore Holly hardcore for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, Hardcore Holly looked like the type of guy that would freaking sit there and freaking punch you in the face and smile while he's doing it.
Yeah.
He don't take shit for nothing. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, then Holly tried to freaking build some more momentum back up with was on defense, but he managed to hit a back body drop on a Kennedy. And then Holly actually hit 2 running elbows, followed by the full Nelson slam on the Kennedy for a 2 count.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then freaking Kennedy freaking had, and then Kennedy was up in one of the corners where Holly freaking hit 2 corner clotheslines. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then freaking Holly just picked Kennedy up and then just dropped him like a sack of potatoes.
Yep.
Yeah, and then after this, Kennedy was assuming the position against the ropes, and with Holly kicking him in the lower abdomen for a 2 count.
Yeah.
Also. Yeah, and then freaking Kenny tried to battle back with a spin kick, but Holly blocked it and kicked him for another 2 count. It's like Holly was fighting. He was going down swinging at this point while Kenny was just trying to mount some sort of offense at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then freaking Holly, for some reason, decided to go up to the top rope for whatever it is he was planning, which Kennedy stopped him. When he went up to the top rope after him, Kennedy then freaking ward Bob down on the top rope with some punches, and then Kennedy then put Holly up onto his shoulders and hit a rolling senton off the top rope, which would later be known as the Green Bay Plunge, and got the pinfall win.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this match? This hard-hitting match?
It was good.
For me, I was going to this match thinking it was just going to be like an average match. It was better than it should have been, in my opinion. Kind of that stiff, hard-hitting, rugged style that Holly was known for at this time period is what actually helped it from being average to a little bit above, in my opinion.
Well, Harley was all the way up to that, all the way, even when he was tagging up with Cody Rhodes at the later on.
Yeah, and then after the match, freaking official referees and other referees and officials were trying to help Kennedy out, and he was like screaming, "I don't need any dang help," selling the rib injuries that he got following that freaking senton from the top rope. Right. And of course, when he got to the ring apron, he was like, "Do your damn job and help me," like literally moments after saying he doesn't need any dang help.
Well, that's because he was hurt. He was really hurting.
And of course, while freaking Holly was trying to get assistance to leave the ring, Sylvain made his entrance. Sylvain or Sylvain Grenier, former La Resistance member, came out. This was when he was in his singles run, right?
Yeah.
And then Sylvain went to the ring and hit 3. Went up, attacked Hardcore Holly, and then hit 3 knee drops of Holly's ribs into the ring. Right. And then afterwards, Sylvain picked Holly up and hit a front suplex onto Holly, laying him out in the ring.
Yep.
So yeah, that's how that segment ended. So there was a post-match assault, probably setting up another minor feud, because at this point Holly was also having a little mini feud with Sylvain as well. That probably set for another mini feud for SmackDown following this.
Yeah.
So yeah, my final freaking thoughts on this match does not include the whole interference spot at the end. So yeah,
Like I
after,
said,
yeah, and then we go backstage again to catering, where freaking Bobby Lashley and Simon Dean were continuing their hamburger meals. Stick for Dean.
he's loving it.
And Dean was continuing to eat the hamburgers because of the pre-match promo he did, obviously, but this one
And he found something in one of the burgers.
Yeah, he found something in one of the burgers. Turned out to be a long, nasty-ass piece of hair. That's disgusting.
He's hating it.
And I'm just like, oh, these must be from McDonald's, you know, the hairy burgers.
Yes.
Shortly after that, Booker T and Sharmell were backstage with telling Booker that Benoit was the one being interviewed since he was a winner of that match on WWE.com, right?
Yep.
And she said that Booker should have won, but his friend Chris Benoit stole the victory. Of course, then Mr. Kennedy then showed up to brag about winning his first ever pay-per-view match and pretty much said that he was the winner and that Booker T was the loser. Which Booker looked like he was going to go after Kennedy, but Sharmell stopped him, saying, your issue is not with Kennedy. Hell, your issue is not even with Benoit. The issue is with yourself. Or pretty much saying that Booker was the problem, right?
Yes.
And that's how that ended, right?
Well, she literally said, your problem isn't with Benoit. Your problem is not with Kennedy. It's with you.
Yep. So yeah, like I said earlier, for this was set up to plant the heel run that Booker T would go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get to the next matchup, which was JBL with Jillian Hall in his corner taking on Rey Mysterio one-on-one.
Oh, God, Jillian Hall.
What? We all know you found Jillian Hall attractive, especially with that giant growth mole she had on her face at this point.
Oh, I know you did.
Well, apparently the boogeyman at one point thought she was so attractive that he ate that mole.
Oh, God, don't even remind me of that.
You're the one who made me review the 2006 Rumble where they had that storyline. That was disturbing then, just like it is now. You know,
did
right?
we do 2006?
Yes, we did 2006 when you wanted to do the whole Lita as a hoe angle.
Oh, yeah, that was Edge and Cena.
Yes, which also featured Jillian Hall getting her freaking moles eaten off by the boogeyman. Thank you for that one, by the way. I almost fucking vomited at that one, I remember. Thank God there was no boogeyman appearance at this show, by the way. So, yeah, I was safe from another cringe fest.
Yeah.
So, of course, JBL came out, made his entrance. Jillian Hall had that giant mole on the side of her face. And, of course, I guess Jillian Hall was supposed to be JBL's image consultant at this point.
Yes, he hired her for an image consultant.
Of course, Taz even said, yeah, man, she can't stand that giant. He's like, even Taz was in the comments, he was like, can't stand that mole on her dang face. She looks great otherwise.
Yeah.
And of course, Mysterio came out. He got the freaking nice crowd pop anyway, like he always does, except for that one time in 2015. God cursed that damn Rumble that we haven't even reviewed yet. No, that's not an idea for you to get in the near future. Even though I know it's coming, right?
Yep.
Yeah, of course, the match started off with JBL freaking taking Mysterio down with a headlock. Yeah, and then for some reason, the camera people decided at this point it was a good idea to freaking have a close-up of Jillian Hall's left side of her face.
What? She would fix her hair where it would show without fucking grotesque shit that was on her face.
Yes. Yeah, showing that goddamn mole on her damn face. You know what's... And Dad said it was like the bumper of a car that had a possum on her face. What the hell that's supposed to mean? But I'm just like, is it bad? I remember this angle as a kid. It's a 12-year-old.
Well, he was saying it was either a bumper or a possum on her face.
Yes.
Yeah. Or a pothole.
Or a possum on her face, paw on her face, whatever. Is it bad? I remember being like 12 years old at the time watching Jillian Hall come out, and I'm thinking to myself, even back then, that shit was nasty. So yeah, I vividly remember this run in this era of SmackDown from back then.
Oh, I remember.
Yep. At least Jillian Hall's growth on her face wasn't as cringe as Katie Vick, am I right?
Oh, God.
And of course, JBL was still in control when he hit a shoulder tackle on Mysterio. Of course, Mysterio then got back up and hit a kick on JBL, which sent him out of the ring. Of course, then Mysterio himself left the ring and ran, and then chased JBL around the ring.
Yeah, JBL was chasing Ray. Ray was doing us a cat and mouse routine.
Yeah, Ray was doing the cat and mouse routine. JBL and Mysterio both got in the back of the ring. Mysterio got out of the ring while JBL was tired of chasing him. Mysterio then hit a drop kick that knocked freaking JBL to the floor. Right?
Yep.
Of course, Mysterio was out there too. Of course, JBL then battled back and took control with a forearm to the back, followed by a neck breaker. Right?
Yeah.
Of course, Mysterio did fight back with a drop kick to the knee, followed by hitting a snapmare and into a neck breaker of his own. Right? To JBL.
He also hit him with the DDT.
Yeah. Yeah, then Mysterio then freaking started working on the left knee of JBL, you know, one that had a brace on it.
Yep.
You know, trying to weaken that injured body part, or so-called injured body part.
Yeah.
And then Mysterio then jumped onto the left knee of JBL, inflicting more pain on the knee.
Yep.
Of course, JBL, with the old heel dirty tactic, freaking managed to poke Rey Mysterio's eyes. And then, of course, Mysterio, that didn't affect Mysterio that much, because Mysterio freaking hit a head scissors onto JBL shortly afterwards. And then Mysterio went for the 619, only for JBL to move and put Jillian in front of him on the outside of the ring.
Yeah.
Typical classic heel maneuver right there. Oh,
yep.
Like the heel be like, oh my God, I'm getting my ass kicked. Hey, there's my female manager. I'm just going to hide behind him like a coward so he can't do nothing. All right?
Yep.
Of course, that stopped any like momentum Mysterio had at that point, but it didn't really do much because shortly after JBL and Jillian separated, Mysterio hit a bulldog on a JBL onto the floor. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then freaking, then Mysterio tried to walk back into the ring, but JBL tripped him up and sent Mysterio face first into steel steps.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they battled by the ropes with JBL hitting a fall-away slam off the middle ropes because they were on the top rope at that point, and then JBL hit a fall-away slam from the middle ropes, which looked impressive, and it looked like it hurt. Not gonna lie.
It's a fall-away slam from somewhere high up. Of course it's gonna hurt.
Of course, yeah, that probably hurts the person freaking pulling off the maneuver as much as it does the person receiving it.
Yes.
Of course, JBL then hit another fall-away slam on the freaking Mysterio as well. Of course, that sent Mysterio to the outside, so JBL went after him. And then JBL then grabbed Mysterio and hit another fallaway slam onto the floor.
Yep.
I was like, I'm pretty sure Mysterio has a history of back problems, and I think we can point out why. Right?
Yeah, he does.
Of course, JBL freaking put Mysterio back in the ring where he went for the cover only for a 2 count. Mysterio is resilient here. Right?
Well, Mysterio is the underdog.
Yeah. Yeah, and then JBL remained in control with a bear hug weakening Mysterio's back. Right? And of course, at this point, Michael Cole on commentary had to point out the obvious fact, oh, Mysterio's back was hurting after all those fallaway slams. You don't say! I think we already figured that one out. Right?
Yeah.
Here, Doc Obvious.
I forgot to say your boy, Michael Cole.
It's like, okay, Doc Obvious. Here's a cookie. Right?
Here's Julian Hall's cookie. Well, they were like, Taz was literally talking about. He's like, "Oh, that looks like," or Michael Cole's like, "Oh, that looks like the cookie that you were eating at Katie." He's like, "Yeah, that's some double chunk chocolate chip."
I would be like, okay. It's like double chocolate chips. I would be like, okay, Michael Cole. Yeah, here's a cookie for pointing out the obvious. It looks like Julian's mole.
Exactly. At that point, I'm like, well, I was eating cookies at that point too when I saw this pay-per-view.
You're like, oh, God.
I'm like,
You're like, okay, I'm not hungry no more. I'm going to put these away.
yes.
Of course, Mysterio did battle back out of the bear hug and actually was able to hit a tornado DDT off the metal ropes to JBL. Right?
Yeah.
And then Mysterio actually hit a springboard crossbody block and a drop kick followed by head scissors to JBL. And with JBL up against the turnbuckle at this point, sitting in the turnbuckle, Mysterio actually hit a Bronco Buster onto JBL. Somewhere X-Pac was smiling about that one. Right?
Yeah, but JBL wasn't because he had nuts in his face.
Yes. So essentially, and let's analyze a Bronco Buster. You really ain't doing anything. All you're doing is jumping on your opponent and pretty much teabagging them.
Yeah, you put your nuts on their face.
Exactly. Of course, it was this point that Jillian Hall, no relation to Scott Hall, by the way, Jillian Hall jumped onto the apron to cause a distraction. Yeah, and then it kind of worked because JBL tried an attack, but Ray moved out of the way, and JBL charged again, but hit the turnbuckle. Right? And then Mysterio...
JBL was trying to use his clothesline from hell.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio sensed it from behind.
Yep.
Dodged. He stopped very close to hitting Jillian.
Yep. Yeah, and
then
then
Rey Mysterio tripped him up into the ropes to hit the 619. He went to do the West Coast pop, but got caught.
yeah. Of course, shortly after that, Mysterio did hit a moonsault off the top into a JBL for a 2 count. Of course, JBL did freaking hit Mysterio with a shoulder tackle when Mysterio went for another freaking move off the ropes. Yeah, and then freaking Mysterio then hit JBL with a drop kick, hit a 619, and of course the springboard, the West Coast Pop, as you said, was countered when JBL ducked it, and JBL hit a clothesline from hell to win the match.
Yep.
Your thoughts on this match between JBL and Rey Mysterio here?
It was good. Could have used less interference, but...
Oh, come on. Yes, there was interference, but at least
we also did not need to see so many close-ups of Julian Hall's fucking mole.
But let's face it, the interference that we seen at Crown Jewel for that women's match was way more chaotic than this one. But yeah, I thought it was a good one.
The thing is, we didn't need to see her grotesque fucking mole.
Yeah. Actually, no, you wanted to see that more because all you can think about were cookies.
Oh, I know you did.
Of course, I thought the match was good. And of course, I thought the match was okay. This is probably one of the best JBL Rey Mysterio matches I've seen. Trust me, there's one other famous one, which didn't even nearly go as long, and, well, we all know what event I'm talking about when I say that. But we'll review that one when we review that one. Of course, after the match, JBL celebrated and got a big hug from Jillian Hall as they went to the back celebrating their win.
Yeah, but did you see his face when he was about to run into Julian? When he saw that mole, he was all like, "Oh, okay, you're cool."
It's like, oh shit, right?
He is.
You're like, get that away from me, right?
He's like, "Get it away! Get it away!"
It's like, get it away from me. I don't want to see that. Why did I sound like Marge Simpson for a minute? I don't know.
You sounded like her sisters.
We ain't getting into a debate about this like we did a year ago in Fortnite. Sorry.
Yes, we will. I won then and I'll win now.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, we got the next match to talk about, which they did air the freaking video package hyping it, and I'm talking about the Undertaker versus Randy and Bob Orton handicap casket match.
Yeah.
But yeah, they aired the video package hyping this feud with Taker, highlighting that Taker got the win over Orton at WrestleMania 21, while Orton got his win back at SummerSlam 2 months prior to this, thanks to Cowboy Bob Orton's interference disguised as a fan.
Yeah.
And of course, there was some mind games played during this freaking hype package between the two, which saw the Ortons have a mannequin of the Undertaker in a casket, and then on an episode of SmackDown, they brought the so-called mannequin back out in the casket while Orton was cutting the promo, and then Orton looked at the so-called mannequin only for it to be revealed as the real Taker as he grabbed him by the neck.
Well, the thing was for that was that Randy's dad was saying, "Oh, look, I think it's moving," because he kept seeing him kind of like opening his eye a little bit. And he's like, "What the hell?" So Randy he's like, "Okay, let me check this." And then freaking Undertaker's like, "Fuck it." And just grabbed him by the throat.
Yep. Yeah, grabbed him by the throat. I remember that segment. That was actually pretty good. Of course, The Undertaker would construct a giant Yokozuna-sized casket, saying this is the only casket big enough to fit both of you in, and gave him a little glimpse into the future with both mannequins of the Ortons in the casket.
Yeah.
Which was pretty much the build-up for this match. Right?
Yep.
So yeah, Randy Orton and Cowboy Bob Orton made their freaking entrance to Randy Orton's old Nothing You Can Say theme song.
Yep.
Just for the record, Randy Orton stated himself that he hated that theme song and he viewed Voices that he had a few years later as a big upgrade. Right?
Well, that was what he wanted originally, but they couldn't get that song right away. They had to wait.
Yep. Yeah, and then after Randy and Bob Orton made their entrance, the Druids brought the casket out to the ringside. Also,
I still think that they should bring those guys back for those kind of matches, because that was funny as hell just seeing people dressed up as Druids bringing in a casket.
Yeah. And then The Undertaker made his long entrance out to the ring before the match got underway. Right.
Yeah.
And of course, freaking, the match got underway, and it looked like freaking Orton and... I'm just going to call them Randy and Bob, for this review, okay? Because if I say Orton, I'm like, I don't want to be really specific on who I'm talking about.
Well, you're gonna have to say it was Orton and Orton, so it doesn't fucking make sense. It's Bob and Randy.
Yeah. Unless we're talking about them doing a double team move, I'll just refer to them as Ortons here. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the match started off with the Ortons freaking like closing in on the Undertaker, while the Undertaker was like doing his like little stance, fighting stance. Because yeah, this was a handicap cash match. Both Ortons were obviously legal at the same time, and there was no disqualifications obviously in this matchup. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, the Undertaker did open up with offense with punches to both guys, to both men. Yeah, and then, of course, Bob tried to fight back with an uppercut punch to the freaking groin. So, pretty much, Bob was a dick to Undertakers, or Taker's Phenoms. And they were going?
The Phenoms noms.
Yes. Which gave, the Ortons the advantage, the 2-on-1 advantage. That's the extra man advantage that the Ortons had here. Coming into play on the early going.
Also, this was Bob Orton's first match in years?
In like a good 20, maybe about 18 to 20 years for the WWE at this point.
Yep.
And yes, Bob Orton at this time period for this match was 55. While Randy Orton was still in his like early 20s.
Yeah.
Imagine if Cowboy Bob Orton came back for a match now, he'd be in his 70s.
He's the same age as Ric Flair.
Yes. Of course, the low blow didn't freaking take her out for long because he fought back with punches and elbows out of the corner. The whole spot he does that. Yeah, and then freaking Taker called for the casket lid to be open, and he tried to throw Randy into it, but Randy avoided it. And then Taker threw Bob into the casket, but Randy wasn't there. And then Randy whipped Taker in the knees first into the steel steps. Oh yeah, and I forgot to clarify. In order for the Ortons to win, they'd have to put the Undertaker into the casket and close the lid. But for Undertaker to win, he would have to place both Ortons into the casket and close the lid. Right?
Well, everyone should know what a handicap or casket match is.
I think this was the only handicap casket match that I remember happening.
There was only one.
Which was this. Right?
Because they're like, fuck that. That was dumb as shit.
Yeah, and of course, around the announcing position, Randy sent Taker face first in the announcer's table. Keep the advantage for the heels here. And then the Ortons worked together to try to put Taker into the casket, but Taker prevented it by punching both guys to break free out of their clutches, battling back.
Yep.
The Undertaker then had an arm wringer onto Randy, and then Taker Taker walked the ropes and hit a punch to the shoulder. The old school. Right?
Yep.
And then Taker then hit a flatliner on Randy, and then he tried to get Bob into the position for the old school, but Randy stopped it. And
it was old school on old school.
Wait, old school on old school. So wouldn't that be just called school? Well, either way, however pronounce it you want to freaking pronounce it, it didn't happen because Randy stopped that by tripping the Undertaker up.
That's what Michael Cole said. He's all like, "Oh, Undertaker's going to be using old school on old school."
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that's a redundant.
Yeah, and then Orton, the Ortons teased a double suplex, but off the top rope, but Taker fought him off. But both Ortons hit the double suplex from the middle rope anyway when they battled back, stopping Taker's low momentum. He's trying to stopping Taker's counter here. Right?
Yeah, then they told them the refs to open the casket, and they were trying to double suplex the Undertaker again into the casket, but they weren't anywhere near there. Then they got to the ropes.
Yeah.
And Undertaker reversed it.
Of course, the interesting part here is after Taker was down from the double suplex spot, Bob Orton, not freaking too familiar with casket match rules, obviously, instinctively went for a cover, which Taz pointed out, oh, yeah, he probably forgot the rules because he's old. Right?
Yep.
I'm like, a little freaking comedy here, and apparently didn't know the rules of the match. Or forgot, right?
Yeah.
Of course, either way, Taker eventually battled back with a double DDT to take both Ortons out. Right?
Yep.
And then the Undertaker called for the casket lid to be open, and Taker sent Bob into the casket.
Yeah.
Which probably Bob was happy because he didn't really have to take a whole lot of bumps in this match because most of the time it was just him taking breaks in the casket. Just laying there, getting his win back. Right?
Yeah.
While Taker and Randy were the ones doing the heavy hitting.
Well, that's because Undertaker literally choked his ass out.
Yep. Yeah, but then Taker sent Randy into the turnbuckle, followed by the boot to the face that Taker's known for.
The snake eyes.
Yeah, and then freaking Taker hit a clothesline on the Randy. Of course, at this point, Bob was out of the casket and actually grabbed a fire extinguisher right on the outside. Of course, Randy did battle back and hit a modified backbreaker onto Taker. Yep. And then Randy then jumped off the apron, but Taker caught him and then drove Randy back first into the ring post. That spot that Taker does too on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Taker sent Randy face first onto the edge of the casket. Oh, the edge of the casket. That brings back bad memories from the Rumble 98 when Michaels had his back broken.
Yep.
That won't be the only reference we'll be making from that show, by the way. Just keep listening, right?
Yep.
And then Taker then kicked Bob in the face, sitting him down. Yeah, and then Taker hit Randy in the back with a chair to knock him into the casket. And Bob, all dazed and confused, actually got locked in a triangle chokehold, which eventually put Bob in the casket, but unbeknownst to Taker, Bob actually had the fire extinguisher still with him, which he put into the casket with him. Right?
Yeah.
So at this point, Bob was out cold for a good minute into the casket. And then, but, with both Ortons in there, Taker tried to close the lid, but Randy got back up with punches. At this point, Bob was taking a short nap in the casket. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Randy and Taker fought, which meant that freaking Taker and Randy were in the casket fighting while freaking Bob was laid unconscious or taking his little cat nap while both of them were fighting over him. Right?
Yeah. Well, at that point, Undertaker, like I was saying, Undertaker was using his Hell's Gate submission. Before they didn't even know what it was. He just used the choke submission that he was using.
Of course, eventually Taker and Orton fought out of the casket, and then when Taker got out, he just shut the casket lid onto freaking Bob.
Yeah, that signifies as Bob Orton was put in the casket.
Yep. Yeah, and then freaking Orton and Randy went back into the ring to continue their battle, where Randy actually fought back with a power slam. And then Randy of course, with the Undertaker down after the power slam all waking up, Orton actually called for the casket to be open, only for him to look and was shocked knowing that Bob Orton was still in there. And I'm just like, did Randy not pay attention to the fact that his old man was choked out and staying in the casket for like a nap?
Nope.
Kind of makes him look like stupid, don't you think? Right?
Yep.
Of course, that distraction led to Undertaker taking control with an uppercut to the groin. So yeah, Undertaker is a dick to Randy's Ortons. which sent Orton dropping right to his knees in pain selling it. I'm pretty sure if you got fucking hit in the nuts, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be standing on your feet either.
I'd be standing back.
All right. And of course, Randy then fought back. He whipped Taker in, boot by Taker, and then Randy freaking came back, fought back with a drop kick. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Randy went for the corner punches, which he hit some of them, but Orton decided, well, now's the time to be cocky and pose for the crowd. Bad idea. Because wrestling freaking wrestling rules number 20 when fighting the Undertaker. If you're doing the corner punches in the spot in the corner of the ropes for the 10 punches in the corner, do not stop at any goddamn point to pose or talk trash or anything, because you know what happens? He reverses it into a last ride. Which this is exactly what the Undertaker did, because he reversed freaking Orton. He reversed Orton's 10 punches in the corner to the last ride.
Yeah.
And then Orton tried to put Randy, and of course, then the Undertaker then freaking hoisted Randy up on his shoulders, looking like he was going to hit a tombstone, but no. He went over the top. Yeah, Undertaker signaled for the casket lid to be open, only to be met with a fire extinguisher to the face.
Well, he got met with Randy Orton struggling to get out, reversing that grab, and then got hit with the fucking fire extinguisher.
Yeah, so yeah, freaking Taker got sprayed in the face with a fire extinguisher to temporarily blind him. And following that, Orton actually hit an RKO that put Taker down. All right.
Yep.
Of course, at this point, Bob Orton was back out of the casket after his short cat nap.
After his short bob nap.
His short bobcat nap. I don't know. So yeah, Bob tried to roll Taker in the casket, but Taker fought back, and then Orton then hit Taker on the head with a fire extinguisher to knock him into the casket.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Randy wanted to be the honest to shut the lid, but Taker fought him off, and then both Randy Orton and Taker went to the casket, and the lid got shut. Of course, and then Bob Orton looked dazed and confused. And he was just standing there like, what the hell do I do here? Nothing. Your boy and Taker are fighting in the casket. This match is technically continuing. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a short period later, the casket lid opened up with Taker and Orton still fighting. And of course, Bob grabbed Taker from behind, ripping his hair from behind. Then Randy hit Taker in the head with a steel chair, which knocked Taker back down into the casket. And then Randy and Bob then shut the lid to win the match.
Yep.
So before I get to what happened after the match, your thoughts on the match as a whole from bell to bell?
It was okay. Was it the greatest match? No. Was it a good match? Yes.
Did it have some great potential for storytelling? Yes. So
it had a lot of potential, because after what we're going to be talking about is exactly 1 month later at Survivor Series.
Yeah. So yeah. The Ortons, Randy, and Bob both won this casket match. Of course, afterwards, here's what we got to talk about after the match. After the match, both Ortons locked the casket lid shut, kind of like what we seen at the Rumble of '98. And then that was only done to keep the Undertaker on the inside. Right?
Well, they padlocked that son of a bitch.
Yep. And then Randy and Bob both freaking pulled the casket from ringside all the way up to the ramp area. stage area, right?
Yep.
And just like what Kane did at the Royal Rumble, Randy Orton took an axe, freaking started hitting the top of the casket with it, thus puncturing a hole into it. And then Randy then took about $500 worth of gasoline out of this gas can and just poured it all over the casket. You see what I did there? And then Orton
lit the son of a bitch on fire.
Yeah, then Randy took a lighter and then lit the freaking casket on fire, ending the segment. Just like we saw what happened at the end of the 1998 Royal Rumble when Kane did the same thing.
Yeah.
So pretty much it was just freaking a repeat of an angle we already see. Right?
Yeah, and then like I was saying, 1 month later, literally, well, it was actually 1 week later.
Actually, no, 1 month later at Survivor Series, Taker did return from this, popping out of a freaking flaming casket. Of course, we'll get to that when we get to that. Which would eventually set up their Armageddon 05 encounter with the Hell in a Cell match between Randy Orton and The Undertaker.
Well, it was 1 week later because they started getting weird messages.
Yeah, before the Survivor Series.
And then in November is when it started getting even clearer who was sending messages. And then when the Survivor Series that year, after Randy had won, the freaking Undertaker fucking pops out.
Yep.
He's like, I'm back!
Be like, Randy, you haven't been talking to Kane. You can't burn me in a casket and think I'm gone forever. Right?
Well, like he said, you can't kill what is already dead.
Yep. And of course, I love how freaking Michael Cole and Taz were pretty much both saying that the Ortons went too far in doing this. Yeah, well, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler didn't say that when freaking Kane and Paul Bearer did the exact same thing years earlier. Talking about too far my ass. We all know a burning casket doesn't stop the Undertaker.
He's the dead man.
Exactly. If anything, setting a casket on fire with him in it makes him stronger. You think people wouldn't know that by now? Am I right?
Well, they did look at everything that they've done to the Undertaker, from the Buried Alive match, the casket matches, the boiling room brawls,
the Last Ride match. Anything that they could throw at the Undertaker, he just came back stronger and seeked revenge. Right?
Yeah, that's why he always had that mark. He was like, that's why he always said, you can't kill what is already dead.
Yep. So yeah, pretty much after we just seen attempted murder on this show, we go to our Cruiserweight Championship match that was next. A little backstory about this is Juventud Guerrero won a Battle Royal on that show Velocity. If anyone remembers that freaking C show.
Oh, God.
That was on par with Sunday Night Heat, by the way.
That fucking takes me back.
Yeah, Juventud Guerrero won a Battle Royal to earn a shot at Nunzio's Cruiserweight Championship here for No Mercy. Right?
Yeah, Juventud, the Juice.
So yeah, Nunzio was defending the Cruiserweight Championship against freaking Juventud, and Nunzio had Vito in his corner, while Juventud had Super Crazy and Psychosis in his corner.
And they still came out on freaking lawnmowers.
Yeah, by 2024 standards, that would not be accepted, but back then, they didn't care. Am I right?
That was fucking amazing. They fucking literally rode fucking lawnmower. I'm like...
Yeah, you would love to ride a John Deere tractor to the ring. You'd probably go all broken Matt Hardy and be like, look at me, I'm making my entrance on the mower of lawn. Am I right?
Yes.
But yeah, after what the fans seen, they just didn't really care about this match at all. They were like silent throughout the whole entrances, by the way, for the two competitors.
Well, they were shocked. They were so interested, but they were still in shock of what they saw the Ortons do, where Randy Orton had literally busted the casket, had his dad spill fucking almost $500 worth of gas, and it burned.
Maybe back in 2005, that was $200 worth of gas, but as of 2024, that's $500. That because of inflation, and it sucks. We should know.
Yes.
That's why I made that joke. Of course, freaking the match started with both of them not really getting momentum against one another for very long, and there was a lot of near falls early on in this match. Of course, Hoovy did manage to hit a boot to the face of Nunzio, followed by a head scissors for another 2 count. Right?
Yep.
And then Hoovy then hit a backbreaker for another 2 count. Right?
Yep.
On Nunzio. I mean, I guess you can say Hoovy had the early advantage, then I guess so. Guess that is accurate. Then Hoovy went up to the top rope. Of course, Nunzio then freaking got back up. Slammed him down off the top rope for another 2 count for Nunzio here. Right?
Yep.
The Nunzio then pulled back on Hoovy's arm for a ground submission hold, trying to freaking keep him in place and cause pain. And of course, I think the crowd was more in shock because there really wasn't any noise for these cruiserweight type moves. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, even with the Mexicals at ringside trying to get the crowd into it, it really didn't work with them all taunting and saying, "Hey, come on, cheer for Hoovy here." Right?
Yeah.
Then Hoovy got a roll up on a Nunzio for another 2 count. And then Nunzio then fell back with a Russian leg sweep for another 2 count. See what I mean by 2 counts? Like I said, there was a lot of near falls here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then both went up to the top rope where they battle each other, leading to where each hit which both of them hit a face buster type move, leading to both men being down. Both of them pretty much hit that same move at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Hoovy went for the cover, 2 count. Nunzio went for the cover, 2 count, right? Yeah, then Hoovy then hit a jumping spin kick that knocked down Nunzio, and then freaking Hoovy rolled through with a sunset flip attempt, and hit a low drop kick for a 2 count, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know credit to those 2 guys involved here, but the crowd just wasn't into it. Then Hoovy hit a Shining Wizard knee attack on a Nunzio, and then Hoovy then spun Nunzio in the air and slammed him stomach first down onto the mat for another 2 count. And I'm thinking to myself, when is Nunzio actually going to battle back here? Right? I mean, he has a big enforcer on the outside, for crap's sake. Right?
Yeah, he had Vito, the strongest man in a dress.
Yeah. Then Nunzio went for a leg drop off the top rope, but Nunzio did battle back a little bit temporarily because he went up the top rope for a leg drop off the ropes, or not the top rope. He went off the ropes, but Hoovy moved out of the way. Then Vito grabbed freaking Hoovy while he was on the apron because I guess Hoovy was going for another sort of flying attack onto Nunzio here, only for Hoovy to kick him, and Hoovy went for a roll up, but Nunzio avoided it. Of course, Hoovy then hit the head scissors to Vito. Then afterwards, Hoovy went up to the top rope for a cross body, but Nunzio rolled through and tried to cover Hoovy, but he got another 2 count. Yeah, then Hoovy hit a Northern Light suplex, followed by the Hoovy driver, or should we say his version of the Michinoku driver, for the pinfall win. For the pinfall win, so therefore the new Cruiserweight champion was Juventud Guerrera.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this Cruiserweight match, which for the most part was one-sided, even though the fans didn't really care because of what took place prior.
They were just in shock and still worried about The Undertaker.
I mean, the champion...
It was a match. Was it one of his better ones? No. Did he have better ones? Yes.
Honestly, I think Juventud Guerrero had better freaking matches during his WCW run. Because, that's where all the kings of the cruiserweights of the 90s were
debatable.
at. Some of them were good. Some of them were better than this one. Like his matches with Rey Mysterio come into mind.
Well, Juventud started in WCW.
Yeah. And after his run in Mexico. Yep.
He followed his brother, Eddie.
Yeah. But, I thought despite freaking the champion not really getting that much of offense, I thought the moves looked good. It wasn't the best cruiserweight match I've ever saw, but it ain't the worst.
Huh. Well, like I said, they were still in shock. So the crowd was into it, but not too into it.
Yeah.
It was, like I said, was it one of his great matches? No. Did he have better matches at the end, towards the end of his career? Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, we go after the cruiserweight title switch. Bringing the Mexicals celebrated with Juventud on the outside, and obviously they spoke Spanish when being interviewed about their victory, about Juvi's victory here. But it's all good. It's all good. Whatever, right?
Yeah, Psychosis say we are Mexicals. Your ass is grass, and we're lawnmowers.
But anyway, afterwards, we go backstage for one more segment involving Bobby Lashley and Simon Dean, where Dean was like, I did it. I freaking ate all double cheeseburgers. I'm done. And then Lashley like, nah, you only ate 19. He goes, what? You only ate 19. You got one more to go. And at this...
No, he's like, I ate 20. And he's like, no, they found you. One more. And then right when he looked at it, he fucking was going to throw... He fucking booked into his bathroom in his locker room and was throwing up. Lashley looks and goes,
So yeah, that's how that whole segment ended. And I'm just like, yeah, that would be like me after eating freaking a whole damn monster burger that we have here in town, let alone 20 of them. Right?
That's you eating 2 monster burgers.
That'd be me puking all that shit away. Fuck that, right?
And if you guys don't know what a monster burger is, it's a whole fucking pound of fucking burger.
And it's good. Not exactly freaking healthy for you. Not exactly weight healthy, but it's good.
Or no, that's more like the Redwood Burger at Lumberjacks.
Yeah. Or, or any huge burger at a burger joint that you guys know in your area. That's pretty much what it's like. Right?
Yes.
Anyway, we go up to the main event now between Eddie Guerrero challenging world champion Batista. This would be Eddie Guerrero's final pay-per-view appearance, even though at the time no one knew it. And of course, they aired the video package hyping this feud between the two.
Yeah.
With Eddie Guerrero saying that, yeah, he was an addict. He overcame his addictions, but he has a new addiction, and that's called respect. Lord knows as of time recording that is true, right?
Yes, Eddie had his demons. I still like his Viva La Raza, his Lie, Cheat, and Steal, but his new one was a good one for what it was.
Yeah, and then Eddie Guerrero stated that he was new and improved after, his 100% fantastic heel run he had throughout 05 during his feud with Mysterio, with Rey Mysterio, where we found out that that Eddie was the real father of Dirty Dominic, the Eddie Guerrero from Wish.
A wannabe.
Yep. And then that's when the whole segment aired with Batista saying, "You know what, Eddie? Friends don't shake hands. Friends gotta hug." I'm sorry, but I hate to disagree with Batista here, but there's no way I feel like hugging your ugly ass.
I want to hug your ugly ass either.
And of course, the big story they were telling was during a tag team match with Eddie Guerrero and Batista on SmackDown. They fought Eminem in a tag match, which Eddie Guerrero freaking used a steel chair. Looked like he was going to hit freaking Nitro with it, but Nitro ducked and he hit Batista with it, and there was a lot of mistrust, miscommunication there.
Well, he was going to hit Mercury with it, and Mercury dodged.
Or Mercury ducked it, yeah. Well, I know it was one of the two.
He was in full swing already, so he couldn't really stop what he was doing.
And then pretty much Batista said, "I'm warning you, I will hurt you if you stab me in the back during this match and go back to your old ways." All right?
Then Eddie's like, "That's what I want."
Exactly. Of course, both men make their entrances. Of course, Eddie Guerrero freaking didn't come out in the lowrider. This was before he brought the Raw lowrider back, like a week or two before. And he was wearing the "I'm Your Poppy" t-shirt. Still coming out to his Gangster Lane heel theme song at this point.
Yeah.
And of course, there was a fan in the sign that said Eddie's full of crap with toilet paper plastered all over it.
Yeah.
Which, at the time, yeah, that's a little comical, but nowadays, I'm pretty sure whoever made that fan probably burned it. Right?
Well, yeah, because that's just total disrespect, but
I just had to point out, at the time, we didn't know what was coming up.
Yeah.
At this time. During this live feed at the time. And of course, Batista came out, did his whole, like, pyro display entrance with the "I Walk Alone" theme, which obviously Batista got the huge pop for that since he is the face heading into this matchup.
Yeah.
And of course, the commentators were saying that Eddie Guerrero is a former champion in his own right, and he did defeat Brock Lesnar to win the championship, his only world title at this point, which they compared, yeah, Brock Lesnar had kind of the body build of Batista. You know, a big, huge, jacked, muscle-bound person.
Yeah.
So they said pretty much saying that Eddie Guerrero's beaten people like this before for the world title in world title matches. Right?
Yep.
And of course, you know, the start of the match when the bell rang, freaking both. The crowd was really into it. They were both cheering for Guerrero and Batista. Right? At the same time. You know, I'm pretty sure the crowd was like split on who they wanted to win here.
Yeah.
Not to mention we were in Eddie Guerrero's freaking home state of Texas. He was probably going to get cheered either way here, right?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, Eddie Guerrero was born in El Paso, Texas. It was his home state, even though he spent most of his young life south of the border in Mexico honing his craft. Which, he is legendary, right?
Well, the thing is, his dad started in Mexico, and he wanted to follow what his dad did, was really hone his craft in Mexico first.
Yeah.
Because they lived right on the border of El Paso and Mexico.
Yeah. Anyway, Batista tried to use his power early on in the match with a body slam across the ring. Of course, Eddie then used his quickness and drove Batista ribs first into the turnbuckle. All right.
Yeah.
Of course, then freaking Batista bowed back, putting Guerrero into a headlock, which that headlock was applied for about a minute, right? Of course, then Guerrero ran to the ropes, and then Batista then hit a shoulder tackle, and Batista hit 2 body slams, leading to Guerrero bailing onto the outside of the ring. Right? This was like within the first 5 minutes of the match. A lot of stalling between the two. No one really had the upper hand for very long here. Right? And of course, freaking Guerrero at this point, freaking all frustrated, actually grabbed a chair at ringside in plain view of Batista and the referee.
Well, he was contemplating of using it, not using it, and then he's like,
fuck it. Yeah, so Guerrero grabbed a steel chair, was about to say to hell with this, but he was, but freaking his better conscience took over and he just dumped the chair onto the ground, saying, screw it.
That's why I said he just said fuck it and just threw the thing, because he was battling with his inner self, the demons inside of him, and him trying to stay to his word.
Yeah, of course. Of course, Batista's seen this as a Eddie Guerrero going back to his old heelish ways at this point. So Batista grabbed freaking Guerrero, pulled him up onto the ring apron, was pretty much putting the bad mouth on Guerrero, saying, you were going to screw me. You were going to freaking cost me. You want to win my title that way? With a chair? Only for Guerrero to counter that, draping freaking Batista throat first over the rope. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then freaking shortly afterwards, Guerrero went up to the top rope and actually hit a frog splash to the back of Batista, which got a 2 count. Can you imagine if the match ended that early? Right?
Awesome. Wow, that was a quick match. Eddie Guerrero won his title in the quickest time.
But no, that wasn't to be. Of course, Batista then worked on a grounded... Of course, Guerrero then worked on a grounded Batista, working on with a leg scissors around the waist, wearing Batista's down and also working on that midsection. Right?
Yeah. Well, he was wearing down the back and midsection.
Of course, Batista, being the strong guy he was, got back up to his feet with Guerrero on his back, and then he freaking drove Guerrero back first into the turnbuckle, breaking the hold. Of course, then Guerrero recovered shortly afterwards with a drop kick to the back, and then Guerrero then applied the single leg Boston Crab to Batista.
Yep.
As he continued to work over Batista's back. In the process, that injured body part here.
See.
Then Guerrero went to the turnbuckle. It's like Guerrero then went to the turnbuckle, but then he was pulled off the top rope by Batista. Of course, Batista down. Guerrero then teased, choking Batista. Of course, actually no. Guerrero went to the turnbuckle. He didn't go to the top rope. Sorry, my bad. I can't think for shit. Eddie Guerrero removed the freaking tag rope and was looking like he was going to choke out Batista with it. But again, he was like, screw it. Letting his conscience take over, saying, nope, don't do this.
Yes.
Yeah, but when Guerrero just ditched the tag rope, he actually hit a drop kick to Batista, who was like down and out, right?
Yeah.
And then Guerrero once again put Batista another leg scissors to the back of Batista here, right? And wear down Batista even more. Of course, Batista, powered out of it and slapped on a bear hug, talking about hugging your friend, am I right? Of course, Guerrero then freaking slapped his way out of it by slamming Batista's head around, getting out of that hold. Right?
Yeah.
And then Guerrero then Guerrero with a kick. Batista actually then fired up. Guerrero kicked Batista in the kneecap, and then Guerrero then tried the Texas Cloverleaf on Batista, which Batista turned it into an inside cradle for a 2 count. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then both men did the exchange where there was the reversal spot to the turnbuckle. Both men reversed it. Then Eddie backed into referee Nick Patrick, which knocked down Patrick. The referee was taken out. Right?
Well, Eddie was trying to do something, and then Batista reversed it, which made him freaking backpedal and hit the referee by accident.
Yep. Then Guerrero then hit a DDT on Batista. And then when Eddie Guerrero freaking realized Batista was down, the referee was down, then Eddie Guerrero then performed that shit-eating grin on his face. Right? Like he's like, okay, I got an idea, right?
Oh, you mean my shit-eating grin? My happy grin? My asshole grin?
Yes. He had that kind of shit-eating grin on his face. He goes, I got an idea. So Guerrero went to the outside, brought a steel chair into the ring. Looked like he was going to do his classic lie, cheat, and steal here. And then freaking Guerrero thought about hitting Batista in the back with a steel chair. But
he was going to do it to damage Batista's back, and then he's like, I'm going for the most. No. Well, going for it. No.
And then Guerrero just stopped himself. He goes, fuck this shit. So he tossed the chair out of the ring. Yeah, and then
Batista saw him toss the chair out of the ring, so he thought he was going to hit him.
And of course, that's when Batista got up. And actually was like, pretty much seeing the after effect what Guerrero was going to do. And then Guerrero, when confronted, Guerrero was trying to plead off, which just led to the two men getting into a slugfest with each other. Which Batista got the upper hand by driving Guerrero into the turnbuckle. And then he hit Guerrero with 2 clotheslines and a back body drop.
Or he would hit him with his shoulder first.
Yeah, into the turnbuckle. Yep, drove Guerrero into the turnbuckle, shoulder first. Yeah, and then after 2 clotheslines and a back body drop to Guerrero from Batista, friggin' Batista then hit a spear to Guerrero, right? Yep. Yeah, and then Batista then set up but then Batista was setting up Guerrero for the Batista bomb, which Eddie slipped out of it, and then he went for that sunset flip, right? But
his back went out.
He went for the sunset flip 2 count. And then Batista then hit a huge spine buster shortly afterwards, and he crawled over for the cover on Guerrero, but Guerrero kicked out last minute. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then Batista then went for an elbow drop, and Guerrero got his knees up into the back of Batista, reversing that. And then Guerrero then hit the 3 vertical suplexes known as the 3 Amigos. Classic Eddie Guerrero move. Then Guerrero went up to the top rope, looking like he was going to hit a frog splash, but Batista actually got up. So
Batista reversed it, and Eddie had to roll through.
Yeah, Batista reversed it when he got up, so Eddie had to roll through, land on his feet, though, but Batista then hit another spine buster on Guerrero, which then Batista went for the cover and actually got the 3 count.
Well, he hit him with the spear, then he got him with the spine buster, then the 3 count.
So yeah, Batista defeated Eddie Guerrero to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. And then Batista celebrated his victory. Yep.
Which, kind of in hindsight now, it was kind of sad as well, because literally right after, like a week after.
Yep. Or about a month later, but
Yeah, a month later, Eddie.
Yeah, we'll get to that story.
A month and a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll get to.
Because next week would be his death anniversary.
Yeah, but we'll get to that story. We'll get to that story after I do, because I got to point this one out. Well, your thoughts on the match? I thought the match was fine. It was one of the best main event, but it fit. Right?
Yeah.
Of course, after the match, Eddie Guerrero extended his hand for a handshake, and Batista thought about it for a few minutes, shook his head, and then Batista turned his back, and then Guerrero smiled at him as if he could not attack him, which he didn't. Guerrero then left the ring as Batista continued to celebrate his victory. But But of course, the real story about how this match truly ended was after No Mercy went off pay-per-view, like the live feed was cut, the pay-per-view was over. Batista actually got into the mic and him and the crowd actually sang happy birthday to Eddie Guerrero after the show went off air. Which I thought was a nice touch, right?
Yeah.
considering this event was happened on Eddie Guerrero's 38th birthday, which unfortunately would be his final birthday of him being alive.
Yeah, which, like I was saying, in hindsight, it was kind of sad as well, because it was literally 1 month and a couple weeks, because next week would be his death anniversary.
A little later, yeah.
It was when it really hit everyone hard, because he was supposed to be there on that SmackDown.
For that Raw and SmackDown taping, yeah.
For his match.
Yeah.
And then they found out that morning
what happened.
What happened.
And
then they were waiting for more of the report to come out. And then they're like, because all they knew is that they found Eddie passed out, not breathing, in his motel room.
Yeah.
And then they found out he died.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you're going to be getting all that anyway. Yeah, so Batista, after this, about a month after this, around that time period, Batista actually was suffering from muscle tear in his back. He had to go have surgery, and apparently on the November 13, 2005 edition of SmackDown, which was taped from Minneapolis, Batista was actually set to defend the world title on that SmackDown against Randy Orton and Eddie Guerrero in a triple threat match. And if rumors were to be believed, Eddie Guerrero was actually supposed to win the world title on that SmackDown.
Yeah.
From what rumors heard, and even Stephanie McMahon confirmed that was the original plan. Right?
That was because Eddie had won his number one contenders match.
Yeah. And then
they were supposed to do that for Survivor Series.
Yeah, I mean, Batista was supposed to be the captain of Survivor Series, but him dropping the title would have allowed him to have time off to have surgery, and Eddie Guerrero was going to be the world champion, captaining the SmackDown team at that point.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that never came to be, because Chavo Guerrero, Eddie's nephew, discovered Eddie unconscious in his hotel room on the early morning of November 13th, 2005, the day of the tapings.
Yeah.
And, that's when they got the ambulance involved, paramedics involved, and freaking Chavo Guerrero even said it to this, that the first person he called when Eddie was being looked at was Chris Benoit to tell him the devastating news, because Eddie actually passed away in Chavo's arms that morning. And,
he called his Aunt Vicky, then Chris.
And Chris just broke down, and we all know Chris wasn't the same ever since. We know that story. We ain't getting into it here. And the November 13th, and then the Raw, and then the Raw and SmackDown tapings for that night were all just tributes to Eddie Guerrero instead.
Yeah, those really hit me hard.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, just watching that, and I'm gonna have to rewatch those.
And Eddie Guerrero was only 38 years old.
What I'm doing is because what we're gonna be doing is rewatching old Raws and probably doing the retro reviews on those.
Yeah, and when we hit those episodes I just want to splice into one big review, since it's pretty much the same thing. When we get to them, by the way.
Yeah, I just like the fact that WWE showed when Eddie was a kid, and then going through everything, and then all his matches then after.
Yeah. So, yeah. And unfortunately, a young Sasha Banks was also in the crowd during those tribute shows for that weekend.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said, according to what I heard, a young Sasha Banks was in the crowd for the tribute shows as well. She went to the ring not knowing it was going to be a tribute show for a hero either.
No one knew.
Yeah, until until it actually happened. I don't remember seeing that as a kid, and I'm just like, what the? That sucked.
Right. Like I was telling him during your pause.
Yeah.
That it was very sad. It's just going to be reviewing those, and then Chris Benoit's tribute when they did that.
Which, yeah, you can't find on the Peacock. We'd have to find another version to review that, but I don't even know if I want to. Maybe for the Benoit.
I'll still do it just to celebrate his life of what he was before we all found out that he had the brain of an 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
Yeah, I mean, we can figure out our own tribute for that way. We can figure out our own, well, not tribute, but discussion that way about it. But that's all I know. But anyway, we can talk about.
I don't condone what he did.
Yeah.
He was just a very good wrestler.
Yeah, I don't condone it either. But anyway.
And there would never be anyone like Eddie or Chris.
Yeah, but in your opinion. But anyway, let's we had enough stalling talking about the sad stuff. Let's just talk about something more positive, which is our rating system, our favorite segment here at the end of each review that we do. LOD and Christy Hemme defeating Eminem in that 6-person tag team match. I give it about 3.5 out of 5.
4.5.
You enjoyed it slightly more than I did, huh?
Well, I do. It's nostalgic.
It's like Bobby Lashley defeating Simon Dean in that match. 1 out of 5. Yeah, just give that one 1 out of 5. Wasn't really a match. It was more like a squash.
Oh, yeah, it was still, I give it a 4.
You're probably only giving it 4 because of the segments that followed afterwards. But I don't rate that as part of the match, right? Okay, fine.
Not just that. I just liked it more. It was funny as hell.
Yep. Fine. As in my opinion, as a match from bell to bell, it's 1 out of 5. But for the whole package we've seen throughout the night, I'd probably bump it up to 3 for the comedy.
I still give it 4.
Yep. Chris Benoit defeating Booker T, Christian, and Orlando Jordan to retain the United States Championship. I give that 3 3/4 stars.
4.5.
Okay. Mr. Kennedy defeating Hardcore Holly in that singles match. I give that about 3.5 out of 5.
3.5, yeah.
Yeah, same. Yep. JBL.
And then at the end of the match with the beatdown, negative.
Yeah, well, I just counted bell to bell. I don't count after the shit shenanigans.
No, I'm just saying. And then after it's negative because no one liked Silvio Grande.
Silvio Grande. That's what you called him?
Whatever his fucking name was.
Grande, like he's a grande burger. Anyway. JBL,
no, like he's a Nacho Bel Grande.
Anyway, JBL defeating Rey Mysterio in that singles match. I also just gave it 3.5 out of 5.
4.
4 out of 5. You enjoyed it slightly more than I did. It's like Randy and Bob Orton defeating The Undertaker in that handicap casket match. I gave that one 4 out of 5.
4.5.
Okay. Juventud Guerrero defeating Nunzio to win the Cruiserweight Championship. I give that one about a solid 3 out of 5.
I give it a 3.5.
Yeah. Yeah, your opinion. We all have different opinions on matches. It's all good. And of course, the main event with World Heavyweight Champion Batista defeating Eddie Guerrero to retain the World Championship. As a match itself, now hear me out. As a match itself, this main event from bell to bell was probably maybe 3 3/4 out of 5, but because of nostalgia and because of this being Eddie's last pay-per-view match, I gave it 5 out of 5.
I give it 5 out of 5 because it was just an Eddie classic.
Yeah. So
it was literally just Eddie being Eddie, but at the end fighting his demons and trying to beat them.
Yeah. So my final grade for the No Mercy 2005 is a solid B. Yes, most of the matches to me were average, but at least it had Eddie's final pay-per-view match in there. And that
I give it an A.
Yeah, you give it an A, I give it a solid high B. I mean, it's only a 2-match show, and that's the handicap casket match plus the Guerrero-Batista main event for nostalgia. Right?
Yeah, but I still just give it an A because they did what they did, and they did the best they could.
Yeah. So, that being said, that's our thoughts on No Mercy 2005. So, you had your pick. This was technically your pick. Next week, it'll be my pick for the review session. And
are you going to give me shit to review? Or are you going to give me a break?
I guess I can give you the best of both worlds here. Because, this is freaking, I want to do a pay-per-view where, we have Eddie Guerrero near the main event defending the belt. So, next week, we are going to review WrestleMania 20. Yes, that had the Eddie Guerrero defending the WWE Championship against Kurt Angle. It also had, The Undertaker returning as a dead man to take on Kane one-on-one. And, of course, it had that triple threat match between Triple H, Benoit, and Michaels for the world title.
Yeah.
All 3 good matches, despite, seeing it from 2024 hindsight, knowing what we know. The reason I say it's a shit show, because we also have a Playboy evening gown match to get through, and that god-awful Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar with Austin as the referee shit show to go through.
That wasn't the only shit that was in there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we can find more shit watching WrestleMania 20.
The whole show was kind of a shit show.
I mean, it had some few standouts, yes, and I wouldn't necessarily call it a full shit show. I've seen worse WrestleManias than that.
Kind of.
I've seen worse WrestleManias than that. Hell, you drugged me through one of them. Remember 27? WrestleMania 20, by all means, is way better than 27. So yeah, next week we'll be reviewing WrestleMania 20. So until then, we will talk to y'all later. Peace.
Deuces.